It's time to start saving with self-love. Hey Soul Surfers, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here and have not yet subscribed, you can do that by clicking the subscribe button. You can also click that notification bell to be notified when new content is posted. And just like with everything on this channel, if you like what you see, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Today we are talking about a new challenge that I created called the Self-Love Savings Challenge. What is that exactly? Well, in this video here, I talk about how much self-hatred is costing us and how we can save money by loving ourselves. So I figured I would take that concept and turn it into a challenge so we can actualize and realize this concept of how much self-love can save us financially. I think you'll also reap the benefits of this challenge emotionally as well. Although the focus is technically financial, you're also going to see a mental change, I'm sure. So what could be better? Saving money, feeling happier, feeling better about yourself. There's nothing that could possibly be wrong here. How does the Self-Love Savings Challenge work? Well, first of all, you need a self-love savings jar because it's kind of like a piggy bank. You can actually get a piggy bank if you like, but I'm using this jar here. It's a mason jar, but you can use any kind of container that you'd like. And I say the bigger the better because you're automatically setting yourself up for success. And the bigger your container, the more money you can save during this challenge. Now with the jar, you can just leave the jar blank if you'd like, but you also can let your inner child out to play and you can decorate the jar however you like. Whatever calls to you, whatever makes you feel joyous and happy. This is a really nice time to get creative. And like I said, let your inner child out too. If you have children or children present, you can get them involved in this as well. They probably love to get very creative with the art project of this, but it will also instill some really great self-love skills if they actually participate in the challenge as well. So once you have your jar decorated, if you're choosing to decorate it, or whatever container you're using, the next part of the challenge is every time you say something kind, compassionate, loving, gentle, or self-loving toward yourself, you get to put a quarter into your jar. You can do this consciously, unconsciously. If you do it unconsciously, you'll have to become aware of when you're saying the kind things about yourself, but maybe have somebody point it out to you. You can also do this challenge with other friends around you. This is just a really great, positive pick-me-up challenge. Really, as often as you'd like. I mean, the more you're focusing on self-love, the more it will become present in your reality. So if you want to sit there and say nice things for 5 minutes straight and toss a quarter in your jar each time, go for it. There is no limit to the amount of money that you can save on this challenge. This challenge does not have to be limited to positive self-talk. This can also be any time you make a loving choice toward yourself and you choose self-love. So if you set a boundary, if you feel your feelings, if you take care of yourself and say no to something and say no to people pleasing or anything like that. Anytime you're choosing yourself and loving yourself, that's when you should put a quarter in your jar. Now, if you don't have quarters available, what you can do is have something that represents a quarter. So for example, you can use marbles and each marble's worth a quarter, or you can write 25 cents on little slips of paper and put those in each time. But I really highly recommend having quarters available because it's going to give you, number one, that nice sound of like cha-ching. You know the sound, like when money is going in, it's like, got this. So I highly recommend that. And also because at the end of the challenge, when I get to what we're going to do with the money, you'll already have it available and you won't be looking for a way to try to come up with it. You can also reuse the quarters each month as well, because for this challenge, we can do group challenges with it, but you can do it individually on your own at your own pace. And if you reuse the quarters, then you won't have to come up with quarters every month. And you can cash in your quarters with yourself through larger bills. And so the goal of the Self-Love Savings Challenge is to see how much money you can save in the month by loving yourself. Now, we're not going to take away anything. You know, if there's negative self-talk, we're not going to remove a quarter because What we focus on is what grows. So if we focus on taking out a quarter every time we say something negative, that's going to reinforce that behavior. And it really could reinforce judgment or beating ourselves up over it instead of celebrating the positive self-love. So once you earn that quarter, you're not going to take it out again. So that's a really awesome thing. You'll get to see how far you come throughout the month. And like I said, the goal is to earn and save as much money as you can in the month. If you are concerned with the financial aspects of this challenge, there are plenty of ways to modify this so that you can still participate, because the point of this is to increase the amount of self-love and be more conscious and aware of it, and not necessarily the money aspect. However, I do think it's important to reinvest in yourself when you're doing this challenge. So setting aside a certain budget of money for yourself, and then setting a goal for how many things you would like to accomplish. So for example, instead of doing a quarter in the jar each time, you can use a sticker, or you can use the slips of paper, or like I said, anything that represents you expressing love to yourself. And if you have a certain number of items that you need to reach in your jar, or a certain number of stickers before you can use that budget, that's a way that you can modify it as well. There are many other options you can do. If you have other modification options that you're thinking of, or want to give examples of how you are going to modify this for yourself, drop a comment in the comments box below, because it could give other people ideas of how to modify it for themselves as well. So really, don't make money and finances a reason not to participate, because like I said, the point of this is to increase the amount of self-love and reinvest in yourself. So finding a way that works for you that you can still participate is awesome. At the end of the month, or whatever days, you can start at like the first of the month and then end on the last day of the month, or it can be 30-day stretch. But after you get to the end of the period of time that you're doing the self-love savings challenge, whatever money you have banked in your jar, you are going to use to treat yourself. And there's so many different ways you can treat yourself. You can purchase yourself a new article of clothing. You can take yourself for a massage or a pedicure, a manicure. You can take yourself out to do something fun that maybe you haven't done in a long time, or you've always wanted to do. There's so many different ways that you can use this money, but basically taking this money and pampering yourself in some sort of way with it. You earned this money through self-love, and now it's time to reinvest that money back into yourself with loving self-care habits. You do not always have to participate in this challenge on a group level. This is something that you can do as a routine habit and practice in your house regularly, with your children if you have kids, with a partner, with anybody else who lives in your household. You can each have your own jars. Actually, I recommend that you each have your own jars, because we don't want anyone dipping into anybody's cash, right? We got to earn our own self-love savings. And if you choose to make this a regular routine, what I do also recommend is journaling each month how much you saved. So you can look back and see which months you perhaps loved yourself more, or were more conscious of your self-love. And you can also maybe compare and reflect on the months that were less money perhaps, and think about what was going on in that month. Were there things that were triggering this negative self-talk, or the lack of self-love, or the lower levels of self-love? Just using it as a reflection time to see when you were loving yourself more and when you were loving yourself not quite as much. So how can you participate in the self-love savings challenge? Like I said, you can make it a regular practice and routine in your household, but you can also start your own challenges on social media, in your friends groups, in your family groups, even if you don't live together, and you can all support each other on this venture. Also, if you're using social media, you can use the hashtag selflovesavings challenge and find people who are participating in it, maybe not even in your area or that you know personally. You can do it through different groups online, worldwide. There's so many different ways to connect. The reason I created this challenge was in the hopes that people would start becoming more aware of their self-love and investing in themselves emotionally and financially as well, and getting a visual of how much they are loving themselves. The more you do this challenge and the more routine this becomes, the more familiar that positive self-talk is going to be, and you're going to see your world change around you. All right, soul surfers, if you are on board for the Self-Love Savings Challenge, you can start right now by typing something wonderful and loving and positive about yourself in the comments box below. And make sure when you do that to drop a quarter in your jar to get yourself started. I can't wait to see how you are utilizing this challenge, not only to love yourself, but to spread the message of self-love to everyone around you. Thanks again for joining me. If you like what you saw here, don't forget to give a thumbs up on the video, and I will see you all in the next video.